I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming. Where are we at now, my dear?
6:30.
Have bills and payroll coming around for your review and approval. Let's see, just this evening, I gave you a construction inspection report for Durkee Farm Estates. There's some concerns with the amount of runoff and the water, but Green was out and looked at it yesterday and will be out again on Monday morning to review. So I have a detailed report if we just vote to accept that report.
Where you been?
I was gonna bring you flowers.
Just the one?
Yes. Because we met just 2 weeks ago.
Three's enough, right? Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Peter, the construction inspection report from Green for Durkee Farm Estates, that was this one that I just
This is what you
handed
just
out.
handed to us.
Here?
Looks like,
Yeah.
nope, looks like from Green,
Yeah, right there.
yeah.
Okay. Anything earth-shattering?
Said they're having some trouble with the detention basins working properly and with all the rain and the snow melt we've been having, but it's documented now. Green was out yesterday and will be out again Monday.
Or not tomorrow? After all we get tonight, see what the final damages are? Going out on Monday? You've seen this?
I just looked at it, I just quickly read it, yeah. Nope.
Gonna die again?
Yep.
Good for you.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
it's wet, spring,
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not finished. What are you gonna do?
Well, you're right, the only action for you is if you would accept the inspection report. That officially gets it into the record.
Well, do I hear a motion? Is that what we need, or we just simply turn around and say, we're all set?
I'll make a motion that we accept the report of site visit number 15 dated April 6th.
Thank you.
Second? April 5th,
April
actually.
5th, yeah. And first and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Cooper Farm Estates, they're here to discuss the final few items, few details, and they're looking for, actually, I'm looking for several signatures from you. I have the signature pages from covenants for Wellington Drive and for Cooper Farm Estates. If you trust me to work with town council on finalizing those, get your signatures before, that's up to you. You would be signing,
I'll sign Wellington, I won't sign the other ones.
yep, okay.
Do we need a fourth signature on these?
Pardon?
Do we need a fourth signature on these?
We should have at least 3. Jamie said she'd be here later, and Rich is usually available some of the time, so I'll catch up with him for signature. Just 2 copies of the same,
Where are we signing?
at the top.
Because they're falling off.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I have to break down and
Buy
take a
some
new
new
one
ones.
out of the,
Yeah. Take a new one out of the package. Two of the
not that
same.
I'm cheap or anything.
You're saving money. It's good.
Which one is this?
That's the one you sign. That says it on the cover. So that's the Wellington Drive. It says it on the cover.
You want both signed or just one?
One is fine. Thank you.
Okay, what's next?
Skipping over that one.
Feel like a one on paper hanging.
Okay, you didn't sign this one.
I know I didn't. I'm not gonna,
Not gonna?
I didn't have anything to do with it.
This one's Wellington Farms?
The other
Oh, no,
one's
Cooper.
Wellington.
Oh, it's Cooper, all right, yeah, you can't sign it.
And I'll put my name on that.
Actually,
Hmm?
Jamie,
Needs to sign those.
yeah, Jamie needs to sign those, but for the Cooper Farm discussion,
We can't do anything until she's present.
yeah, 7 or 7:15. Jamie will be here at 7 or 7:15. So it's up to you, but you want to rearrange the order of the agenda for the Cooper Farm discussion?
We're at 6:40. We can take on K and move them to 7 o'clock.
Fine with me, this is.
Well, the Cooper Farm is just housekeeping, right?
Right, but you can't do that with just 2 of you.
It's already signed, sealed, and delivered. He can, I don't
Your
have a
discussion
problem.
is with.
I don't have a problem. It's already signed. It's already an approved subdivision. It's just housekeeping details if you wanna weigh
I'd
in
rather
on
have
it.
not, I'd rather,
Okay, all right,
I don't want any.
Street lamps.
all right,
Yeah, so it should be just shortly.
okay.
All right, so let's,
Okay.
can we move the 6:40 one to now then?
Well,
Yeah, we'll take on 6:40.
Huh?
It's 6:40, so yeah.
There we go.
So can we, we'll just let the Cooper Farm people know, hear them, it's, somewhere around 7.
So-
So when Jamie arrives.
Anyone who's here for the Cooper Farm development discussion, I recognize you, my dear. We're gonna postpone that a little bit till we have a third, because anybody? Nobody? All right.
We were so popular before. What happened?
Why are we starting so early anyway?
See what?
Daylight saving time?
Oh, there's a lot on the plate, I guess, but we're gonna rattle it right off.
That's right.
Yeah, wait till we get to
Reader's
this
Digest
discussion.
version.
Yeah, except for this project.
Here we go. Bring on. I'm sorry.
Anyway, where would you like to start? Would you like to get an update of?
Well, yeah, let's switch back. We'll try and keep our order in order. And sorry, guys.
Did I come in perfect timing or something?
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Do I have to
Michael just said, let's trade back.
sign both
Yes,
of
sign
those?
those. Please,
Where are we on the agenda?
we're just starting with
Cooper Farm.
farms.
Do I have to leave my little perch, or can I stay here?
The discussion.
It's up to me. Does this mean I should move? As opposed to it's up to me?
Sign the second
What that means?
No, just the first couple.
What do we got next? This one here is gonna be the next one in front of us?
Yes. And then we have an A&R for Taylor Street.
Checking.
Okay,
Well. Another sword.
Good? Okay.
Cooper Farm Estates update.
Good evening, Jennifer Platt, here on behalf of M&M Realty Trust. We're very pleased that we've gotten this subdivision plan approved. Thank you all for all your hard work with us getting through that. We've been working with the agent as well as town council on getting the covenants finalized. Just a couple of things that came up through in the conditions on our approval that we wanted to talk to the board about this evening. And we can just run through those. One of the first things that was flagged were streetlights. And we'd had some discussion during the course of the plan review on streetlights, and the feedback we had gotten is that there weren't going to be any, just so, primarily so there wouldn't be any more light pollution. And we'd like to just have that confirmed.
Yeah, during the process, I don't think the chief of police weighed in on street lighting, so I did send him that question very late in the process. He was requesting streetlights at the intersections with Great Road, at each intersection within the subdivision, and then along the walkway. Given that we didn't have any of those discussions during the public hearing process, I was wondering if, for safety reasons, you wanted us to limit it to maybe the intersections with Great Road. Matt said that he was considering doing residential street lighting near the driveways for each
Because
of
a
the
lot
houses.
like, the houses are pretty close to the, so that, you know, there'll be a lamp post, you know, between the walkway and the driveway. So, and most houses aren't set more than 25 feet or so back from the right away anyway, so.
And there have been cases where you've substituted that for street lighting along the streets. It's just what the safety at the intersection is kind of the question.
So if I may, Mr. Crowley asked me to speak on his behalf regarding this lighting issue, and he felt it was appropriate to have lighting at the intersections, and he also wanted to make sure we tried to prevent any light pollution. This was his comments to me to make sure they were heard tonight. As he's going to be late, and he thought that any intersection lighting that was installed should have downward lighting, no outward or upward, just the downward lighting for the safety of the intersections.
I don't have a problem with that. We've waived the street lighting and had residential lighting because it
In its
goes
place.
in its place. It looks better than some of the smaller subdivisions. This is a little bigger, but it still works better. But I do agree they should probably do something at the intersections, especially the one on Great Road.
Right, two at
So
Great Road.
there's gonna be service coming.
Mr. Montanari, I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. You were saying what looked better?
I like the residential lighting better than street lighting throughout, except at the intersections. You need to be, especially on Great Road, you need street lighting there.
So if you put it at the two intersections of Great Road and,
The main intersection in the middle of it.
well, so there's underground service, so you're gonna have to have a light pole at the intersection of, there's really only one intersection, so it would be.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, your one main intersection in
One
there.
main intersection, yeah.
It was the same,
You
so,
want to have a ugly telephone pole there?
no,
I mean,
we prefer that
we
you
have-
spend some
we
money
have
on a
lights.
nice one.
For the, there's driveways on each side
Yeah,
of that
there's-
by 20 feet.
Yeah, there's driveways almost immediately abutting it. So are you proposing that there would be residential lighting?
Yes.
So
And-
there'll
We
be-
put up the lighting at the end of the driveway with the nice decorative lamps on our houses, so.
And
Could those lights be on timers so that they're not controlled by the resident themselves, that they're on at all hours, or to keep people safe?
Can we do solar lighting?
can we,
How about this? Why don't you put a residential light up there as part of the street lights? Just like Ed was just saying, tie it into the system. So if you have the commercial ones at the end of the street, and we get to the one in the middle, put a residential one in there in lieu of the big commercial ones. And that way it's tied directly and it comes on when all the other ones come on, so it's not tied to the residents.
You do that?
Well, then that'd have to be a,
There'd have to be a meter for that.
right.
It's gonna have to be a meter for the ones on the end anyway.
So you can do two at Great Road, but, and one at that intersection. but
Right.
What, and then have all the other lights come on automatically?
No, all the other lights can
No,
be
not all the other
residential.
lights. I was just talking about
It's
the.
just the one at the
A
intersection.
total of 3.
Yeah.
Correct.
If you wanna
Three
put a
lights.
small residential one in there that we know is gonna come on when the
Maybe
other.
An
a
18
taller 18-foot with a
Yeah,
green bulb on
you
it.
familiar with, so when I look out my window, my house, I look all the way down the end of Old Farm,
Yeah,
something like that. It's
Okay.
in the center of the island.
I'm fine.
Okay,
So there'll be one light there.
yeah, that's fine.
And if we find that there is already lighting on Great Road that covers the intersection.
Right.
I looked, Myron, the resident.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So they're gonna have to bring service across anyway, so.
You okay with that? Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so commercial lighting at the 2 intersections with Great Road, and then a more residential style one at the intersection between Cooper and
Field. Yeah, that's field.
Field. Okay, terrific. Right, next issue, sidewalks. We had a request that a sidewalk continue on both sides of Cooper Farm Lane up to Great Road. All of our plans had it on one side, which we believe is adequate for people walking, who are going to be walking along that stretch of road. Again, just would like to limit it to that one side of Cooper Farm Lane.
No,
No,
It's not here?
that's not the issue.
we had no sidewalks here.
Up on that section of it?
Because there was
This
no
section.
sidewalk going out.
There's no
Because there's none on
sidewalk.
Great Road to connect
We
to.
had no sidewalks there.
Where's
That
there?
was approved with the subdivision plans.
Talking no sidewalks on Great Road?
So,
No, they're gonna put the sidewalk in from Gray Road to connect to the old
Yes.
sidewalk.
Right.
Yes,
But then-
on the first entrance.
The lower entrance, there's,
Right.
you know, some of them was missed in either the review or, and so it was suggested we put the sidewalk there, but there's no sidewalk continued out going from Great Road towards Shaker Lane.
Right.
And
I will propose, if there is sidewalks installed from the end of ours at the entrance to Cooper to Shaker Lane, and we're still in the subdivision, we'll be glad to connect from there.
Infill, you'll infill it.
That's an easy one.
But it's a fair one, I mean, it's,
That's fair.
It's fair, but you know it's never gonna happen.
Well,
well, no, they did get
actually,
grant money. They
with-
did, they got $400,000 in grant money recently for sidewalk improvements.
Okay.
Right, those.
You got 2
were
years.
in- No, those were in different locations. Actually, MassDOT with their complete streets are requiring sidewalks. Places like Great Road, when that gets widened, would probably include
Okay.
sidewalks.
I can live with that deal.
well, if it's gonna get widened, why require them to put a sidewalk and it's gonna have to come out? Right? I say, stick to the plan that we approved.
Well, and that was, I was hearing something different than Matt was hearing. I was hearing that you wanted the sidewalk to extend both of the intersections with Great Road.
We have one already going in from one side.
From one
The other
side,
side, there is no sidewalk there. That if we put our sidewalk in, it would go to no one.
Nowhere, yeah.
Right.
So,
Okay.
as long, I mean,
So
as long
if-
as, if there is a sidewalk in there, then we would put.
Right,
We'd
we'll
be
leave
glad,
it,
we'd be glad to connect it.
we'll leave it the way it is on the, if they
We'll
do put a
note that,
sidewalk
and
in.
I think
Yeah.
as approved.
that's great.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Remember that, Jamie, you're gonna be the only one left on this board when that happens.
All right, then we have one other sort of discussion to have, and I know town council wanted to get in on it as well, and I couldn't connect with him today, but in terms of the house, our intent is, once we acquire the whole property, we'll be conveying the open space lots to the town immediately thereafter, as soon as we can get everything approved and on record. The house, we would like to keep for some period of time, one, mainly to get some cleaning up done there, so because it's going to be the entrance to our whole development, and it's been a bit ignored for some time.
You might use it as an office or whatever.
And would like to use it for security on site and use it as an office, so,
Makes sense.
but would eventually be conveyed to the town pursuant to our host community
How
agreement.
much money?
How much money?
I think, I'm trying to read somebody's lips.
They want to rent it to us?
No, no, they
wanna
might
rent
as
it
well
to-
keep it.
No, I agree, I totally agree.
The one question the town council had time for was asking about what kind of time frame we're looking at.
2 years, right?
18 months, 2 years.
Not to exceed 2 years.
Well, they can ask for an extension after 2 years, how's that? In case they slow down or something.
Okay.
Never drive that road, that's 2 years.
What?
He doesn't ever go in any of them anymore.
Gentlemen, anything else?
That's
or-
it.
On our punch list, anything on your punch list for us?
Yeah, we're working on the details of the covenant. I did bring the Mylars. If you're available after the meeting, have time want to sign those, that would be very helpful.
Thank you, Mark.
Great. Thank you, and you will continue to get the rest of the documents finalized with you. Thank you very much.
Keep us posted with any updates.
Got it.
Thank you very much for
Thanks for coming in.
Sorry about the musical chairs.
When'd you get back from Florida?
Last week,
Are you coming down? You going back down?
Monday, I stayed just for this.
You said that last time.
I did. That time I really did come back for it. I'm going back on Monday, just for another week, that's it. Nah, this is my last time.
Sherry, I have lost 28 pounds by not eating that stuff. Stop.
Yeah, you know what, I don't
I
want
don't fill out my shirts anymore.
it. No, give it to me. Do you want a candy?
Candy?
Sweet for the sweet.
Why are you trying to butter me up?
Still mad at you, but that's it.
I
I'll
can't
get
keep up
over it.
with
Yeah,
those
I'll get
youngsters.
over it.
Are we on time?
No.
We behind?
We're behind.
Yeah.
We're at the 7:40 now.
Okay, let's get at it then.
307.
What the hell did I do with this stuff? Okay. Who's where? This is you?
Yeah, good evening. For the record, Brian Goodrow with Hancock Associates, along with Dave Guthrie, representing K-Land LLC, and Sherry Gould. So we were before you 2 weeks ago with the K-State subdivision. It's a proposed 23-lot open space subdivision, and just to go over the project for any members who weren't here. This is Grimes Lane down the south, we have Foster Street on the side here. This is Durkee Farms Estates. It's a 30-lot open space subdivision. We were before this board last year for approval. An update on that, we have 10 foundations in, so phase 1 is pretty much being built out. We're going to be looking to shift to phase 2 this year. Now, K is the land that is behind and to the east of Durkee Farm Estates. We developed a conventional subdivision with 23 new lots on it. The plan you have before you is 25 lots. We're looking to relocate 2 lots from Durkee Farm Estates into K Estates. So the entire density of both projects combined was 53 lots, which is what we had on our yield plan, and we are continuing to propose that the 53 lots, so 23 new ones on K, 2 relocated into K, and then ultimately Durkee was approved as 30, and we're intending to build 28. For the open space subdivision, we have reserved 13.2 acres towards the western portion of the parcel. If you look at this plan, what we tried to do is we tried to highlight kind of what we had conveyed or what we're going to be conveying on Durkee Farm Estates and coupling that with what we have in K. The western portion is contiguous with all the land along Foster Street and Durkee Farm Estates. The intent was to create kind of a cohesive open space plan. With respect to the open space, there were questions about upland ratios, wetland ratios, and whatnot. On the 13.2 acre parcel, 8.2 is upland with 5 being wetlands. That's 62% of this open space tract is upland. Now, if we compare that to what was approved on Durkee Farm Estates, we had 10.2 acres of upland and 6.4 acres of wetland, for a ratio of 61%. So we're slightly above what was approved on Durkee Farm Estates. Now, that is strictly the open space parcels. If you include wildlife access corridors, which we have now indicated on the plan, and other unbuildable parcels, we get that number up to about 70% upland over the entire K piece.
How much is that not buildable, though? You just threw some numbers in together, make the number sound nice, but how much is that is unbuildable?
Is unbuildable the wetlands plus 50 feet, so if we're saying that 62% is upland.
I don't want to know percentage. How many acres is it in total?
How many acres of upland is actually
Of the
buildable?
total property that you're developing, and what you're calling Ks, the K ups, this right here. What you're proposing to us right now, how many acres are there?
There is about 30 acres.
Okay, and you're already telling me how many are wet?
Some 5 is wet in the open space.
25, just in the open space?
Correct.
Everything else that you're looking to develop is all
Is
uplands?
Correct.
You just said there was 40 acres there.
40 in Durkee.
No, how many's in the,
In K, I believe is 30.
and how many houses you're proposing?
23.
And 5 of it's wet.
And 5 acres of the open space is wet, correct.
So you think you can conventionally get 23 lots out there?
We have a conventional yield plan that has
You might have-
23.
How many are realistically, I think what Peter was trying to ask you was how many are realistically buildable?
Are 23 conventional subdivision lots.
With septics,
With
those,
septics and the whole nine.
How many
conforming
deep hole
to
tests
full.
have you done?
How many, we've done unofficial testing across pretty much the entirety of K. The exact number I don't have, probably 15, 20.
Big difference.
can you show, where is the old open space that was donated on the first Durkee plan? The K, wasn't there a piece of the K property? Where is that? in
So
the-
this is Durkee right here. If you look at the pink areas on this parcel, those are the open space. So you have A through E, A, B, C, D, and E, and those are all open space.
But wasn't
So
the,
in the host community agreement, there was 11 acres of K in that, yeah, that location.
In this location right here.
so that was already donated for the Durkee property?
No.
If I may speak, Dave Guthrie. So just to clarify for Brian, I'm sure he's got a lot of numbers running his head. The K parcel's 40 acres. 13 of it is set aside for open space. What we did, through the acquisition of K, our agreement with the selectmen, in order for them to pass on their first right of refusal, was if we ended up developing K, we would donate 11 plus acres to the town as part of that community host agreement.
Wasn't that part of the agreement?
It
for
was
the-
independent of Durkee, completely independent. It had to do with the acquisition of K. Just,
Yeah, but you needed the K acquisition for the frontage to get into the Durkee.
so there were a couple
correct?
parcels with K, this piece here
Yeah,
and a 50-foot strip here.
Correct.
They were independent of each other. We were buying this from K,
no matter what.
no matter what. We were also trying to buy this. And in order for the town had first right of refusal, 61A.
What was
They asked if
what was the town's refusal number?
I'm not sure what that means.
How much was the property offered for that the town passed on?
They had the right to match our offer of $850.
$850,000. And the town refused it.
Correct.
So basically, you're giving us open space twice. You're giving us open space to not buy it, and you're giving us open space to develop it as open space. Sort of.
Yeah, the condition of donating the open space here was only if it becomes developed, not to buy it. We could buy it, but if we receive permits to develop, then we would donate. If we don't receive permits to develop, then there's no donation.
Okay. Okay. All right, so that's the parcel. Okay.
So in continuing to summarize what we have done, in response to comments received during the last meeting, we had 4 proposed roads. We had Fir Lane, Pine Way, which is now White Pine Way. We had Cypress, which is now Douglas Street, and Cypress Street. Originally, we were going to be requesting waivers for full road construction on Fir, a section of Douglas Street, and an end of Cypress Street. What we've done is we have represented on this plan full build-out of Fir, Douglas, and Cypress. They have full cul-de-sacs, road width. Fir now has sidewalk on it. There is sidewalk all the way up to a cul-de-sac on Cypress, and these 2 lots being served by Douglas Street is now a full road. On Douglas Street, it was requested also by the fire department that we gate the emergency access. So from the start of Douglas, from Grimes Lane to where Spruce has been proposed to be extended, we're still asking for a waiver to construct a full road. What we'd like to do is we'd like to put 20-foot paved and gated fire access only. As a part of that, as a part of Durkee Farm Estates, we had proposed to widen Grimes Lane between Fraser and Spruce Street. We're going to continue that widening from Spruce Street to the new proposed road on Douglas Street. So this whole stretch of Grimes will be widened out to 20 feet. Another comment that was made during the last hearing was with respect to Spruce Street. Spruce Street, right now, as approved, goes to a cul-de-sac servicing 5 lots. What we'd like to do is extend Spruce Street to Douglas, so now we have a continuous road all the way to Douglas, and then a new road on Pine Way looping through the subdivision. So we would need to go back and modify the approvals for Durkee Farm Estates to basically eliminate the cul-de-sac that was there, extend the right-of-way into K, into the intersection of Douglas Street, and then slightly reconfigure the lots that were around the cul-de-sac previously.
You already have a White Pine Road already in Littleton, right?
White Pine Drive.
Well, I think it's a confusion.
It'd be too close. If they have a drive. It'd be too close.
Yeah. So we can the names are up for discussion. So obviously we can change that if required.
How about Scottish Pine?
Scottish Pine. I'll make note.
Back to
Not
the
Scots, Scottish.
Back to the fire department gating off the roadway. Why does the fire department only want that to be an emergency access?
So we're proposing it as emergency access to encourage people to use the new roads and to enter and exit the subdivision off of Foster Street and not increase vehicle traffic onto Grimes Lane.
Well, the people that live on the back of that are not going to want to go through two neighborhoods to get up to their houses way in the back. They're going to want to go up Grimes Lane. And if Grimes Lane is, it's an issue that we never discussed in the beginning of it, but it is part of this road system. And it's your second means of egress out of it. And if you're blocking it for the people up in the back and you're not blocking it for the people up in the front, I don't understand the wisdom there. Because that's, the people in the back aren't going to be able to get out of it if it's blocked off either. So we either have a roadway there or we don't. And I think we need to address Grimes Lane on this as we keep that subdivision going further back.
I kind of agree with him. I don't like the fact that you're trying to run everybody through this entire neighborhood out. You pretty much want them to come out up there on is that Foster Street?
Well, so if I can recall some of the conversation we had in the past,
So you
and
don't
I
want
do
them
agree with
coming
you as
out
far
down
as the
here
road
either.
should, right, we don't want them coming out at the end of Grimes because of the tracks and the lights and all that. Just recalling the conversation. I'm
Right.
not saying I don't agree with what you're bringing up as a point.
But that was when Durkee was smaller and it was those
Right.
lots. Now you've got more lots up in the back here, and
Right.
they're gonna wanna go.
25 more homes,
They're gonna
50
wanna
more
go through
vehicles.
there. They're not gonna wanna go through those neighborhoods to get home.
And I think the issue was with the gentleman that lived at the end of Grimes. We're happy to see it remain at 20, no wider than 20 feet for the
I get it.
Understanding that they would have a more private country road
It's-
accessing their property.
Still gonna be adequate to support it. Just putting a gate up there doesn't solve that problem. If it's adequate for the ones down there, it should be adequate for the ones up there.
Yeah, I agree this way here, and I'd love to be able to keep it a little cart path for you, sir, but there's a bunch of others that that are responsible for it. And again, fire trucks, what if a fire truck's
That's why
gotta
they
go
gotta
back
go 20
and...
feet is the size.
Well, yeah, and then
But
a gate.
I agree. I'm just going back on the old.
I get the old part. We kind of agreed with him because it was closer to the road. These things are now 1,000 feet further back from the road. 1,500 feet further back from the road now. So, you know, when we originally approved it, we were approving the 27 lots. Most of them were close to that first intersection. These back here are not close to that first intersection at all. That's my point.
What is this piece right here? Is this, I see there's conservation pieces right there next to that intersection.
The brown piece down there, she's going.
Yeah, what is that on the,
Right here.
on the other side of, yeah,
This
that.
and this. Right now, they are unbuildable parcels, parcel X and parcel Y. They're intended to remain in their virgin state.
So-
We do have stormwater management on X, and as we get into the design, we might have some on Y as well to be able to mitigate the end of Douglas Street.
So my thoughts on that are a little different than you gentlemen, because I'm looking at the Conservation Commission, the conservation pieces that are below Grimes Lane. And I personally would like to see more of the country road feel there and not see cars going in and out. Give me that rustic look, so
But
that's.
how are you gonna get to these lots? You're gonna go all the way?
I mean, that, we had that conversation at the last meeting, and I get it, but, I mean, when you go to buy a house in there, you're gonna know what that's all set up for now, it's not.
It's-
So I like, my personal thought on that is that you got those conservation pieces there, and it's kind of more of the rustic rural feel, and you won't see cars coming in and out, granted there is a road there, but, I like the thought of pushing it all up through the other section, just my
How
thought.
far does that go from Grimes Lane to the railroad tracks? How many feet in reality is it? I know the track runs on an angle, but
2,000 feet?
It
Probably,
is
yeah, I would
from
ballpark it around
that far?
2,000 feet. Yeah.
and Route 2 the same? No. Route 2?
You're talking about.
From Grimes Lane, no.
I mean, this
Well,
way?
Route 2 comes right
Oh,
like
yeah.
this. So this conservation land butts up to Route 2.
Route 2,
Correct.
yeah.
Goes to the tracks.
So how far is it to Route 2?
Through that conservation land?
Yeah.
Um,
'Cause you drive down, you can see it all from Route 2.
yeah.
So I mean, just how much
Yeah.
conservation land, it's not a vista to,
It's not, yeah.
like it,
Yeah, it's
Most
not.
beautiful property in town.
Not
If you look at the
something
bottom of the
everybody
plan, right here, this is the right of way on Route 2, basically. So the MBTA goes here,
See that
Route 2
right
does
there.
this.
What?
so how far is that?
See.
500 feet, 400 feet?
Four
That's
to
railroad.
five,
Route 2
I
goes
would
this way.
Yeah, see, that's, like, well, what you call it conservation, there isn't anything
It's
there.
really, it's a.
It's
a
something you can't
parcel
do
that the
anything
town-
with anyway.
The town got because they couldn't do anything with it.
We keep getting that, don't we?
It still goes back to safety issue. It's an issue we should have addressed on the first one, and now that it's going even further back, I think we need to take a look at it. At least that's my opinion.
I agree with you. You know, if you start up let's say you live in this parcel right here, you go around the corner down here, you can take a right and go down over there and you go that way. You can come down here, go up over there, go down over to here. I mean, it's a great place to play hide and seek, but
Chutes and ladders.
is
It's,
that what they call it?
That's what it looks like, chutes
Yeah.
and ladders.
It just,
from a design and a safety issue, that's a lot of cars coming out one way. That's,
you're doing, you would pave this from here, from the end of, what is this one here called?
Douglas.
Spruce comes all the way back around over to Douglas.
Okay,
And
so
white.
I have a suggestion for you. Usually, old times, you always used to do a site visit.
Yeah,
Is one appropriate for now? You can take a look at the intersections and,
Well, if we're gonna talk about
Consider-
doing a site visit, then I'd like to also review some of the comments that came in from conservation.
okay. Are you almost set with your You
Yeah,
discussed
so
this, you got it?
we had two other key points. I just wanted to highlight the wildlife access corridors heading east and east-west, and then the contiguous open space north-south. We're trying to basically carry the idea that we had from Durkee Farm Estates and bring it into K-Land LLC. And I believe Sherry looked into shifting density. So lot 16 and lot 23 that we're proposing to no longer build in Durkee have been shifted up into K. And if Sherry, you'd like to shed a little bit more light on that?
I prepared a memo that I have sent to Maren today, and it's something we could review.
I'm not into, I personally am not into the swapping something from one into another. I think each one has to, that first one stood on its own, and this one here, I don't like the setting the precedence of taking two lots from one project over to another one, personally.
So, Mr. Chair, essentially it's a more or less phased project, and it's pretty common for phased projects to shift the density. There's nothing in the case law specifically about shifting density, but very, very often they will take the open space from one project and make it houses and stack the open space into the next phase. So there's cases that support what they're requesting to do. I don't think it's an issue that we should try to resolve tonight. I think it's just an issue that's there. I've sent a memo in. As we go through the project, it may take a different flavor anyway, so.
All right.
Back to my comments about conservation.
Yeah, could you?
So, when we,
One second. You had one more, was it?
Those were the two items.
All right, I'm sorry, go ahead, please, Ed.
I was just reviewing some of the comments that came in from conservation, and as I look out on the audience, we have a conservation member here. Chase, if you want to speak to any of these, be happy to hear what you have to say.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Chase Gerbig, Oak Ridge Road, Conservation Commission. So we sent planning board comments based on our review of a slightly different plan set than what the applicants have presented today. The concerns stem from a few different issues, but the single largest concern is the access off of Grimes Road, the wetland crossing, and the fact that it essentially cuts off a lobe of that wetland, which could be hydrologically connected to the existing wetland across the road, but really impairs its ecological function and has a significant impact on the wetland overall. So that was our first comment, and the applicants should be more clear on how they're going to mitigate that additional impact. It's not. So we had some questions about stormwater, but I think a lot of that may be fleshed out in this that isn't necessarily fleshed out in the plan set that we reviewed. We had some concerns about stormwater design points. Given the wetlands that run throughout this property, we'd like to make sure that the applicants are providing internal stormwater design points to ensure that the stormwater flow to various portions of the wetland is balanced in the same way that stormwater flow off the property might be balanced. And then there were some questions about the 6-foot wide easement, how it's going to be connected to existing properties in the town forest, as well as the wildlife access corridors. And the plan set that we reviewed, the wildlife access corridors weren't outlined, but it sounds like Brian identified some in this plan set, so that may be addressed by this. But those were somewhat minor compared to the major wetland impacts.
Chase, thank you. How is the stormwater drainage system working right now? As all the rain we're having and everything else?
So basically, you received that memo earlier regarding a site visit, and there was one infiltration basin at the intersection of Balsam and Fraser Street that has standing water in it and has had standing water in it for some time. These basins were constructed, the site hasn't been stabilized in these areas, so some remedial work will have to be done, such as scarifying the bottom, reseeding, maybe amending the soils to make sure that they do draw down in the DEP mandated 72 hours. Generally speaking, they are working. They're some tweaks need to be made as the site is continued to build out and grassed areas are established. So shifting into K, we're looking to have kind of the same surface stormwater management that we had proposed in Durkee. They're going to be shallow infiltration basins located in areas where they can collect the water, treat it, recharge it, and those are scattered right now throughout the site. Obviously, this is a preliminary plan, so we haven't fully vetted stormwater management calculations, things of that nature that we fully expect to. And Green International, I'm assuming, will be the peer review should this project move forward into the definitive process. So, generally speaking, common practices that have been proven effective, and we will make sure that they're fully compliant with DEP standards.
So going back to the basin that isn't working currently, before we move forward, I'd like to see that one in working order.
So
I know the project's in progress, but that should be functioning now, before we move forward on anything else. So we should make that a priority.
If I may speak to that, I guess the question is, in your definition of functioning, is the infiltration?
It's occurring, but is it occurring in a 72-hour period?
Well, it won't, the issue we'll have is that it's holding the water, so that we're not releasing sediment into the wetlands, so it's functioning in that standpoint. But what we have is typical in pre-construction or construction activities like this, where you're getting silt into your catch basins and into these basins, they're going to fill up with silt. So we need to get that to draw down, then we scarify it, replant it, and get it to grow, which I don't think is going to function necessarily in the next 6 weeks. But once the drier weather hits and we can stick a machine in there, then we can clean that silt out, which is very common. And this may not be the last time we need to clean the silt out of that as well, because we are in construction until we get some lots stabilized. But that's the purpose of that. They almost act as oversized sediment basins while you're under construction. And then when you're stabilized and all your curbing is in and your lawns are planted, then they function as the basins they're designed to be. But in the interim, they're essentially sediment basins.
So if you think
That
about
is their purpose.
And if you think about timing, we received approvals in June, I believe, and then started construction. The roads and the basins weren't fully established until fall. So this is the first season that it's typical to have to go back in there and make some tweaks. So we're fully aware of that, and what modifications need to be done will be done.
Understandable, but again, I understand how they work, and I can appreciate how you want to address it. What I'd like to see is the site stabilized before we move forward. So,
Move forward with the planning stage, or move forward with?
permits.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we're on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
We have somebody from the audience who wants to make a comment.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. So the planning board is aware, Conservation Commission issued 7 enforcement orders today associated with the application for the roadway infiltration basins, as well as 6 or 7 lots. And those enforcement orders were to address both infiltration basin 2, which is the one that hasn't infiltrated since February, and as well as the pond on site, which is substantially larger, I think, than anyone has, in terms of surface area at this point, substantially larger than anyone has seen in the past. It's now well outside of the bounds established by the erosion controls that were supposed to protect that pond from the construction activities.
Any comment?
So we are conducting a site walk on Monday with the commission to talk about these issues, and we will have a plan in place, and we will be going before the commission on the 17th to fully address them.
In between then and now, do you have some short-term fixes for this right now? Is it actually, I'm behind you, I'm sorry, I can't look through your head. Do you feel that there's something they could do to try and mitigate some of these problems? Put up more silt fences temporarily, hay bales, as opposed to those wattles? Do Do you feel
Well,
there's anything that they can do right now in order to alleviate some of this?
I think in order to alleviate the enforcement order, they're going to need to mitigate some of these. That infiltration basin 2 is now overtopping itself. It's flooding the intersection of Fraser and Balsam. The nature of the enforcement order is that they're not going to be permitted to continue work on permitted conditions until that's alleviated. The Conservation Commission is not in the position to dictate how they're going to do that, but we have issued an enforcement order that says they need to address that. And it's up to the applicant to address how they propose to do so.
Should we have green out there? You're doing this on
Green.
Monday? Green's gonna be out
Green
there.
will be out there.
You're going out Monday?
Yep.
All right, so you know we're getting another inch of rain tonight, and then it's supposed to be nice over the weekend. We should be able to see high water marks from between now and Monday. Yes? Your face is calm, but your leg's going like a bat out of hell there, big fella. What do you suggest?
With respect, I believe Mike, the site work contractor, has already spruced up silt fence in locations, replaced silt sacks within catch basins, provided additional wattle at all inlet locations. I think the point is on Monday to walk those fixes to make sure that they are appropriate, and then to discuss what we're going to be doing or proposing moving forward with the farmer's pond and the additional stormwater that has collected there. The site is in the middle of construction right now, so it's.
I understand. I sympathize with you. I was involved with somebody once and cleaned it up, it rained, you cleaned it up, it rained, you cleaned it up, it rained, and it was an ongoing process. And I realize that you've got so much exposed land right now, it's hard to cover it all, but these are things you got to try and avoid to protect our little town here. All right, so you'll see them Monday. You're going to be a part of the sidewalk. What time is that getting done?
That's correct.
8:30.
8:30. Here at 8:30?
8:30, Monday morning.
Any questions for them that you'd like to?
No, I think Green will probably handle it for us.
Anything? Anything else?
Did you want a site walk for Kay?
Yes.
Yeah, that and more than likely Grimes Lane and just to see whether or not, and again, the people down the end of it, I'm sorry, sir, I'm terrible with names. Nish?
It's on the plan.
Well, I can't read those little writings.
Well, you got the bigger one.
Mish, there it is. Do you have any comments for what they've spoke about tonight?
No, it's just that the ground is all wet up there. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get any better.
Very good. All right, well then,
Do you want to have a sidewalk in a couple of weeks when it dries out a little more? Okay, we can.
can we ride four-wheelers? Right through the wetlands?
That's always a good idea.
Riding four-wheelers
Well,
through the
maybe we'll
wetlands?
ask the conservation agent that,
Right.
with all due respect, of course.
We'll pull a canoe behind us. Okay, where do we stand now? What do we need to do? Just continue the hearing?
But it's not a hearing, it's a meeting, so schedule the continued discussion.
All right, let's see.
Meeting in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
April 20th, yeah.
A lot on the agenda.
Obviously, we don't need more than the 10 minutes we left for it this time. So continue it for April 20th?
If I may, I don't know when your next meeting is, but I don't know that we need to come in until you come visit the site, really. I think it's gotta be.
I'm gonna try to do it. I would like to do a visit before the 20th anyways.
Well, we come to your meeting after the 20th if you want to give yourself a little time
Yeah.
to dry out.
So,
When are we meeting in May?
May
6th?
4th, which is the first Thursday.
Is that after, when's town meeting?
May 1st, Monday, May 1st.
When are elections?
Monday, May 1st? No.
Elections are Saturday, May 6th. So this would be that week also. Well, you're not available the next week, and I'm vacation the following week.
Right.
So,
Want to do that first weekend in May?
Yes.
For a site visit? What do you want to do?
Yeah,
Or do you want to wait till
let's do a weekend. You wanna do a weekend?
weekend, yeah?
Yeah, me too.
What month is this?
We're April 6th. Goes faster, you know, Peter?
What do you get to be my age?
I'm trying not to get there.
My only suggestion would be to balance the drying period against the growth, the start of the vegetation.
Yep, it's reasonable.
First or the 6th, which, or whatever it is,
So, last Saturday in April is the 29th. First Saturday in May is the 6th, that's election day. So
Let's go election
you're out
day.
anyway.
Yeah.
I'll be out on election day, that's a good day. Good excuse not to have to stand out in front of the polling
Do
station.
it, maybe, we have a meeting on election day.
Not having a sidewalk?
Sidewalk.
It's not a meeting.
I don't think we're gonna have a quorum.
Who's going?
I would like to attend.
You gonna vote?
I wish.
Okay, so, but
I'll go, you go?
that puts it after the May
All
meeting?
right. And
Wait.
That puts it after the May meeting.
Yeah, we need to see it before the May meeting. Really, so we have a better idea what's going on.
that's the
How about-
29th?
Why don't we do May 1st then? Or May...
April 29th?
April 29th?
Yeah. Is that all right?
It's fine with us, thank you. Preferred time?
Morning?
Morning.
Morning, yeah. 10 o'clock.
School day? No.
It's a Saturday.
Oh. 9.
9's fine.
Sherry, you gonna be there? You gonna bring your muck boots?
Chivo?
For 9 o'clock. That good?
Sounds good.
Thank
Bring a
you.
couple of
Okay,
glasses
and then
and
we'll
ride that
continue the
one.
discussion on, at the May 4th meeting. We'll work out the time depending
Okay.
on how much.
Okay.
else we have.
Yep, Good. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who are the owners of this?
Which?
K-pop?
Cape Farm LLC.
It's another LLC.
No, I mean,
It is Mr. Rodriguez's property.
it's privately.
This is an area.
Literally.
You know,
Something else, someone wants to make a comment.
Oh, hi.
Hello, I'm Anne Grace, I'm from the Littleton Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and just before you wrap up, just interested to know that there are going to be sidewalks, and I believe we have sent a letter for the attention of the committee, and I respectfully ask that you note what's in the letter, and we can have sidewalks.
I think I did read it.
Yeah, and Brian got that letter and had responded to it with those updates in the plans, with adding the sidewalks and full construction of the cul-de-sac.
Do you have a copy of that you could give this woman to take back?
Copy of the plans,
Well,
absolutely.
we got a few of them here, right? Well, this one? Would you like a,
Yes, please. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't notice you, ma'am.
I'm Anne Grace, I'm 82 Nashuba Road, I'm on the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
There you go. All right, now we're,
Really far
thank you. Maren? Where are we now?
A&R,
behind.
poor gentleman had to wait a long time for an A&R.
All right, where's he?
6:55.
I see the plan there.
You see it? Point it out to me, because I'm
I
lost.
have one here for
Here on the street. Oh, you're the old Page building, is that what they called it, the fence?
Oh, Louis Pages?
Yeah, the fence, used to be the fencing company, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you're looking to do?
The rear portion of the lot is to be divvied out as a non-buildable lot for conveyance purposes. Beyond that, I'm not privy to that. I assume it's through one of the letters there.
I'm sorry, what is he?
This piece is gonna go to one of these abutters.
The parcel A you're talking about?
Correct.
You're gonna cut it off and sell it to Thunder Road or
Tarowski.
Or it may be retained for the moment.
Well, you're trying to create a landlocked piece of property separate from the others?
Non-buildable parcel, correct. For conveyance purposes.
I mean, we don't have any problem with it, but I just don't understand why. I mean, if they take it out, they could always put it back at some point in time, right?
Correct.
So it's no,
I know the board is generally uncomfortable with signing plans that show hanging parcels, but
Right. What's the benefit of doing that?
We could do it as a surveyor's,
well, you can do it, it's just,
right.
but he's
They-
Again, I'm sure it's for conveyance purposes. What those are, I'm not privy to.
For that reason, wouldn't you do it when you conveyed it to the other person?
Well, this has to be done first before conveyance can be done.
Would have to be done at the same time, I would think. If you're selling it to Thunder Road, you would combine it with Thunder Road at the time when you sold it, and then you'd come in with a new configuration. I mean, we
There
can,
may be a purchase sale agreement.
we can do it, but
Okay.
we'll warn you that there's no frontage on it, and you get no relief if you try to do something with it that's,
We're aware.
what does that do to the existing lot 1? You're still at 2 acres, 88,000 square feet.
Lot 1 would still be a conforming lot, whereas conforming as it is anyway.
Well, it's an industrial piece, so it's not, there's really no conformity to it.
well, once again, it's none of our business really what he does with it. It's just, I don't like making something that's completely
Isolated.
landlocked, you know? It doesn't make sense that, okay,
I'm sure the board could be rest assured that there's
something going on,
a conveyance.
and you're not telling.
There's a method to your madness, is that what you're trying to tell us?
Okay, I don't see a problem with it. What do we need for a, how would this motion be addressed?
just approve the A&R as presented.
Okay, do I have a motion?
There's a note on it that it's not a buildable lot, right?
Correct, yes. The required notes are there. Note 4.
All right, endorsement.
Most over-engineered project. We're on top of a mountain of gravel, they put grade in.
I got no problem with it, I'll make a motion that we approve it as proposed, with the notes that are attached to it.
Second.
First and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Chair, the board.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's all right.
Actually, if you would endorse the plan now, he doesn't have to wait any longer. Ed, if you wouldn't mind putting a date on it? Thank you.
All right, where are
that
we
already
catching
signed?
up or are we still way behind?
Oh, we're way behind.
All right, well, let's get to it then. Who's next?
Is Mr. Napoli here? No.
Mister?
Really secret if he doesn't know the
Yep.
client.
Mrs.?
Is it Mrs.? Yes. All right. Hi. All right, we can take the plan after basically today.
Oh, no, I think you're confusing me.
No, she's not the right Napoli.
Not the right word.
My apologies.
I don't think she is.
You got any money on you?
Like a vertical project.
All right.
Let's control.
This is just as bad as mine.
Okay.
Would you like me to leave you the plan?
Bless you. Oh, you gonna read?
I gotta read.
I hate when that happens. This is probably your last meeting you have to read.
Maybe.
Yeah, somebody else will have to do it.
Peter,
Yes, honey.
you ready for me to read this?
Yes, please.
Public hearing, modify aquifer district special permit, modify setback special permit, 501 Great Road. The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 6, 2017, at 7 p.m. in room 103 of Town Hall, 37 Shattuck Street, to consider.
Excuse me, could you please?
The application for special permit modifications pursuant to MGL Chapter 40A and the Code of the Town of Littleton zoning. The application is to modify the Aquifer and Water Resource District, Section 17361 through 17364, special permit, and to modify the intensity of use special permit to allow a reduced building setback under Section 17331 of the Code of the Town of Littleton zoning. Property location is 501 Great Road, Assessors Map R18, Parcel 8, owner Chase Farm Trust, applicant Town Fair Tire. The applicant is seeking to modify prior approvals for a retail and tire installation facility. The application is to modify the Aquifer and Water Resource District special permit and to modify the setback special permit to allow the building to be set back 69 feet from Great Road. Application and plans can be viewed at the planning board and town clerk's office during their business hours. Any person interested or wishing to be heard of the proposed plan should appear at the time and place designated. The Town of Littleton does not discriminate on the basis of disability. Further, a signed translation of this hearing will be provided for the hearing impaired upon request by contract in the planning board office at 978-540-2425, 1 week prior to the meeting date.
Thank you. Who's up?
Good evening, Cheryl Gould. I own the property as trustee of Chase Farm Trust. I have with me tonight Bruce Ringwald, my engineer for the property. I have attorney Paul Alphin, my attorney for the project, and this is John Wojciechowski, who is also representing Town Fair Tire, so everyone can answer questions here.
You're up.
Good evening, Bruce Ringwald, GPR. We're all familiar with the site. This is 501 and 509 Great Road. We were here back in 2011 and 2012 for this plan right here, which achieved a master plan special permit under the West Village Beaverbrook overlay development. The self-storage facility is constructed, and we are back this evening to talk about modification on this site relative to the setback of the buildings proposed because of the taking of the right-of-way, reduction of the impervious area, and the building sizes. Having said all that, the proposal is for a single retail structure versus 2 retail structures that was in the initial permitting. Reduction in the number of parking spaces and a total reduction in the impervious area on the site. As it is right now, there's a common entrance that comes in at the edge of the self-storage facility, which will have access to the site here. And with the taking for the widening of Great Road, part of that arrangement was putting in an on-ramp on the acceleration lane on the westbound side onto the site. So there'll be an entry area here for circulation around the site, as well as the entry area on the other portion of the site. With the construction of the self-storage facility, drainage was installed across the site and around the back, handling all the water runoff which goes to the wetland behind the site and not associated with Beaver Brook. The area in front of the site initially was much larger of impervious area running towards the drainage that is in the front of the self-storage area. We've moved, with the moving of the building and the reduction of the right-of-way, the lot in the front because of the right-of-way widening, there's a much smaller area, just a small section right here that drains in this direction now. The side parking lot and the rear parking lot drain into the existing 4 bays in the back. We're modifying that 4 bay into 1 versus 2 small ones. It goes into the existing drainage system before it discharges to the wetlands. The portion of the parking in the front and on this side drain into new 4 bay and a new water quality swale on this side before overland flow, before it gets way back to the wetlands in the rear of the site. Previously, the 2 structures, 10,000 square feet of retail building, we're also discharging those building roof runoffs into this same drainage system. Now we're taking the 8,300 square foot retail building, which will have a hidden flat roof behind the mansard, which we'll look at in a moment, and discharging that through down leaders, roof runoff leaders into an infiltration system in the back. That infiltration system is designed to handle a 100-year storm, so there'll be no runoff from that. There is an emergency overflow from that into the water, the drainage system that exists. With the changes that we've done to the site, we've added in some plantings along the front of the site. The original planting plan for the original structures had pavement and sidewalks right up to the buildings with no planting in front. We've added some planting in front and just changed some of the plant materials that were called out from before. A couple of them have made it to the invasives list, so we've changed those out and added in nice plants that are native to the area. We've added a couple plants on this side where this basin will be, and just changed the plants that were proposed in between the two structures. The building itself is designed as a brick facade with glazed retail windows, a peak roof in the front, and then the mansard. This is how the building would be viewed from Great Road. This would
What's
be,
it look like coming up from the side of it? We're gonna see the same thing that
You're gonna
we
see-
got pulled over our eyes on the other building?
Coming up from the side, you're going to see this would be the side to the, coming in from 495, you'd see that in this corner. It's going to sit back, and then there's a series of trees that sit in front of this that we have proposed on the other plan. All the bay doors for the installation of tires are to the rear of the building, and to the side towards the other building is again a brick wall, brick facade, has some downlightings, it's got soffit, and then this is what that building would look like. This is almost an identical building, glazed windows across the front, hip roof, and except for this one's calling out for some, well, the detail is in here too, but you can't see it's in the way. And the planting in this is up to the front. We'll have planting right up against the road as shown on the previous plan, and then planting right along the front of the building as well. And then I have some plans that show the sign, which is this sign. I have plans that show that, and as well as the freestanding sign out front. And I know you like to keep it short, so there's my bridge version, Peter.
You're up.
I don't really want to see a town fair tire in our town, but you want me to start with that?
Well, you can start there now.
Yeah, okay, that's where I'm gonna start.
Okay, that's it?
Yep, that's all I have to say right now.
You're up.
Can you tell, so the point is obviously higher than this behind it in.
Sorry, the point?
The point.
Oh, yes, the point sits, the point sits way up in the back and way off to the right. So here's the site, this would be in this portion, the point's all up over in here.
Right, so there'll be a downward view from the point to the top of that building.
Well, it'd be a lateral view, and there's vegetation in between this whole area and along the side and along the back.
All right, Earl, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So my concern is just the view from all, well, 3 of the 4 sides where I believe this is going to be visible, what it's going to look like. Because it looks like you dropped the faux roof off the back of the building.
That's correct.
It might be appropriate to add that if it's visible from the upper area of the point.
I might add, we've done that in the past where we've done them all 4 sides.
So it's a doable, it's a doable ask if it's visible from, thank you.
We're calling it a mansard roof.
It's a faux.
Foam mansard.
Yeah, a faux mansard roof, yeah.
And the front of that, the front gable, if you go right to the big picture. There's one of your pictures shows that nothing more than being 2 feet thick. One of your other drawings.
On here.
There it is right there, the second
Right
one
here,
down.
yes.
You know, we got that on the building next year. and that ticked me off to no end. I want to see a bird's eye view of the roof line. The mansard roof that you got, well, you call it a mansard or partial, the interior of it is all flat roof, is what you're saying.
That's correct, and you can see this is the line for it right in behind it, through here. It's got a flat roof that comes to the back. Pitches from the front to the rear, just below the edge.
How tall is that?
23 feet.
How tall is the mansard part of it?
From here to here?
Yeah.
8 feet.
And then the gable is what?
The gable is 14, well, from here up, it's 14.6, so I'll add 3, call it 17 and a half from here to here.
So you're 10 feet, it's 10 feet taller than the mansard. You said the mansard was 7 feet,
This is 8 from here
okay?
and 14 up. It's 6.5 feet from here to here.
And it just, and what is your, what are you asking for a setback relief? We have
Same-
100 feet is what the rule is, right?
I'm sorry?
We have 100 feet, correct?
No, we have, on the ruling in here is an 80-foot setback, and we've reduced it on the site adjacent, and we're back further, sitting back further than the adjacent buildings. We've asked it to go to 69 feet because the taking of the
No,
right
now,
of way.
when the first one came through, it was at 100 feet to begin with, correct? And it was all, yeah, it was at 100 feet. And then when they widened the road, because they widened it after she had already started construction, then we went to the 80 feet.
We went to less
We
than
went
80
to the
feet.
80 feet. And then there was a statement made, well, why don't we give them 60? Well, we don't need 60, but that's what, and I know I made the statement that.
Here's the setback line right here.
And what is it?
Gravel strip.
Is there on that parcel there, what is that, the septic for the storage
Drainage.
facility?
No, there's a big, what's the
Yeah.
big pile in the back of the
Haven't they
building
moved?
now?
Are they trying to build around?
The pile in the back of the building right now is a large septic system. That's being removed. The septic system is coming out because this building, the self-storage, and this building will both have pump chambers that will pump up to the treatment system at the point.
Isn't there commercial across the street from you?
Yes, there is.
So
The
then you
police
don't-
station is across the
So
street.
you don't need the 100-foot setback because you're.
That's right. That's why I said it's 80.
It's the residential district.
But it's not residential.
It's a district.
What?
The district doesn't go that far down.
That's right in front of that's not residential in front of it.
Is it,
It's commercial.
There's the police station right here.
which
and
is still
then
zoned
the-
residential.
That house is commercial. Maybe we zoned it,
Oh, we gave them the option that it could be either or.
it's commercial. Chucky Bell's is commercial, that house is
Right.
commercial.
Right.
So it's,
But then the police station is where the residential district starts.
where's the
The police
police?
station is where the residential districts may start, but it's the police station.
Right.
So it's really not residential.
So
so
that's,
the
you
setback's
have that
really-
leeway.
The setback's really a moot point, is my point.
Well, it is, and it may be a moot point, but I don't think it is. I mean, obviously, we've already, we'll get to the next thing when we get to that, I suppose, but the original, it's supposed to be 100 feet, and that's what the self-storage was 100 feet to begin with. And then when they widened 119, it went down to 80.
No,
Now you-
when we widened it, we went down to, I believe, 50, and what it is here, let's see, on a 20 scale. We asked for the 50, and the actual building itself is set back at 70 there and at 65 there. We're asking for the 69, and that's where we have the building at, 69. But as you can see, the road is wider here than it is over here, hence this line comes across on an angle.
But by rule, you should be 80 feet, correct? And you're asking for 60?
Yes. If we went to the 80, that would be correct. And what that would be doing would be taking and pushing the site further back into the wetlands. Right here, we have the edge of the wetland, 100-foot buffer. This is the edge of the wetland. And we're staying right outside the 100-foot buffer. We're taking the existing septic system, which is in the 100-foot buffer here, and we're pulling it out. And Natural Heritage, which has got the site on here, has reviewed, and they're happy with the proposal to remove stuff from here. We've talked with the Conservation Commission, and the applicant has agreed that we'll put in a fence. We're not going to do one like on either side of the road right over here at Beaverbrook Crossing. We're going to put in a vinyl chain link fence, probably only about 4 feet high. They'll come across here to keep turtles from getting out into the parking and out towards the road. So the Conservation Commission, Natural Heritage, are looking to have as much of this buffer protected as possible.
If we're gonna grant that, I might go for a lot more asks, like a real roof on the building for one. No town fair tire sign.
That big sign, is that what you're saying? Yeah, I agree. Yep. No.
Anyway, so the new information we got tonight was the ruling from town council about the use.
That was a waste of money.
Given that, we have, I've asked for an estimate from Green to review the site. We don't have that peer review yet.
If I may, relative to the review, you're welcome to go out for it. We have less impervious area than we had before. We have the same drainage that was covering the site, plus we've added drainage to this side. We reduced the peak rate of volume and the flow from what was permitted down at each storm level. And that's
Permitted for the first building, not
permitted for
this.
both buildings, sir. For the whole site, we did development and we did the drainage for the whole site back in 2011. And 2012, we modified that with the taking of the right-of-way. And we're going down in the 2-year storm by 0.6.
These are two separate lots, correct?
They're two separate lots under one master plan special permit. And we have a master plan special permit for the entire property. This is approved for a greater footprint of development than what we have on here now.
Would you ask Chase if he's a preliminary look at this?
Pardon?
Would you ask Conservation if they come preliminary look at this?
Sure. Have you already looked at these prints, sir?
Conservation has looked at them. Although we had some concerns with respect to turtles and the development back into the natural heritage area, ultimately, most of the site is outside of our jurisdiction. And so we'll deal with what we can with respect to turtles, natural heritage, and wetlands, but most of it's on you guys.
All right, so if one of,
Two things.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that. You need the man side all the way on all 4 sides, especially if you're gonna see it from up above.
Okay?
Maybe downplay the signage a little bit so that it's not as flagrant as it appears. And one other thing that we never addressed on that site that we talked about when we did the storage is access to the open space that runs beside Beaver Brook. All the land that's back there, the land that was Dover Saddlery and stuff like that. Can we get a trail?
We did address that on the original filing, and there is a trail. And there is an access point right down here at the, right along the road and in the front portion of the self-storage. There's a trail that comes in and it goes all the way back. That trail is shown on the conservation restriction plan on file, and it is addressed in the conservation restriction itself, which I made reference to with the filing numbers at the registry and the application, out to a lookout point that is in the rear of the site.
It's all built, it's all done, it's
It exists.
usable.
I haven't been out on it in a few years, but I've been out there in the past.
Okay. I just want to make sure that it was done. I know that we talked about it early
It
on.
was there.
May I ask Chase some more questions? Chase, if I may, could you ask one of the land stewards to take a look at the trail?
Absolutely,
And
happy
then
to.
report to both boards if you could? In that, Mark, if that's the case and we do have access, can we get some provided parking for that access? Is there provided parking now?
Can I just
Sure.
address that? At the time that we did it, we were asked to convey the conservation restriction to the Littleton Water Department. And so they took the stewardship of the trail, and if the trail needs any maintenance, it would be up to the water department to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Indeed, that
Thank you.
How did that come about?
because the water department
Like
had wells down there and they wanted it.
Access to it.
Yeah, 2,500 feet of the well.
Okay. As far as the use permitted, I've read Mr. Yeah, well, his and the one previous to it. Mr. Alpin, is that how you say it?
Alphen.
Alphin? And it doesn't look like we have a leg to stand on, is that right?
That's correct. Town council even said he was right.
Aside from the legs. However, you're, just out of fun, it says, as discussed above, the principal use of the property will be retail use, no vehicles will be sold, leased, displayed, stored. And otherwise, you do end up with a result which is probably not the intent of town meeting. If interpreted most narrowly, the provision would provide sale of windshield wiper blades, floor mats, light bulbs, window glass, mobile vans, stereo components. Now, though you said that any accessory in the motor vehicle department there, but
That paragraph has since become moot, as town council has decided that
I
it's the
understand it's
grandfather
become moot.
provision.
However, you also, do you believe this is exactly what the town had wished for? Did you think this proposal, this proposed building is what the town really wanted in this area? Yes or no? Do you think this is something along the line that the town would have preferred not to have here?
You know, the interesting thing about things like this is that people end up voting with their feet. And to the degree that it's a business that will be used by the community, I think the proof in the pudding
Well,
will be meeting.
I understand, you know, I like the town fair tire, that's where I go to up in Nashua.
We like it in Nashua.
Huh?
I like it.
I like it in Nashua. But again, your opinion, though it has been agreed to by our attorney, it doesn't necessarily represent the wishes of the townspeople, that's all.
And again, that last paragraph has become moot anyway.
I understand that.
All right.
But I still asked you a yes or no question.
He's an attorney, you never know.
Never mind. As far as I'm concerned, I would like to see,
You have somebody from the audience again, too.
in 1 second, ma'am, please. The town fair tire, one of the things we're gonna have issues with is the outside internally lit sign. We're gonna have discussions about that. It's not something I wanna see on 119, okay?
Halo lit?
Something in exterior lit with a single light, a
Backlit.
single white background with the lights, with the
We've done
letters
that
on it.
in the past, and things called halo lit from the back.
Well, it's,
The light
we'll
reflects back.
we'll go over something, you know, we'll look at that. That's not something we have to decide tonight. Yeah, we don't have a signed bylaw. It's been in the works for 28 years.
And who's responsible for that?
We are.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
So,
That'll be your next job.
Yep,
Yeah.
that sounds like it.
and as far as the front gable, I don't wanna see something that looks like the one next to you. I call it the Midwest standard, you know, so, we'll see if we can work something to do with the roof lines, okay?
Yeah,
And then the street
we're
signs.
amenable. We have several different, if you look through our
Configurations.
website, we have almost anything we can do. We think that's most New England to, because that's been accepted in.
The Michelin Man? Can you get him?
Yeah.
Really?
We actually have tread.
Nice.
We have our own Michelin.
All right,
tread
then.
man.
Yeah.
Just don't tread on Littleton when you come.
Any other, young lady?
Yes, Anne Grace, 82 Nashoba Road, Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Very interested to hear that there's a trail on the storage facility side, and it's very important that we have access to that trail. I can't see from this picture what's happening to the sidewalk that's supposed to be in front of the building.
This is a
Could you
photo of
address
another
that,
building.
please?
This is a photo of a different building. The sidewalk is in front, and it will remain in front. This is the sidewalk right here, and it's right across the front of the site.
Good. And does it connect up to the point so that people can actually walk from the point, across the front of this, and then reach the trail?
I believe it does, yes.
It will?
Can I just make one comment about the trail? It is one of the most beautiful trails I've walked, but it goes nowhere. It goes to Beaver Brook and then a big open wetland. Beautiful for viewing,
Great.
but it doesn't connect to anything. in terms
That's
of
not the
bicycle.
point, it's
Yeah,
access.
It's a beautiful trail.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And we did a bunch of fighting way back when with Natural Heritage to maintain that trail.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Vanessa Strong, 59 Gilson Road, also with the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. When you make that new egress, will you repair the sidewalks and then make them ADA compliant?
Yes, and that's shown right on here, and it's on the detail page for the ADA compliant as well.
Thank you.
How about doing something with that little bridge so they can actually get on the other side of it? Can you put a wing on the outside of it so that people can walk through that bridge area? I'm just having fun with you now.
I know you are.
All right.
I've been here before.
That's a lot of tires.
That's a lot of, hey, you want to see what they're doing with tires.
You could build it out of tires.
You could build a football field with tires.
Hey, aren't we?
No,
All right, are we done?
You got a
Yes, I
fence
think
on the
we're good for
over
now.
there, otherwise.
We're
we can't
behind,
do
and we
it.
need to get going?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're behind.
Okay, then we'll,
Continue to the 2 weeks from now?
You guys come back with some other ideas of sorts for these. All right, thank you.
Well, you want us to?
Can-
You want other
Continue
ideas for what?
Thursday, April 20th.
Adding the facade on the back, and you want to do something additional to the,
Soften up the front of
to the mansard?
I really don't
What about-
like, I don't like that the front gable is just a standalone gable.
Here,
Yes.
we'll talk about this too, right?
We need
Yeah,
to, yeah,
and-
we have a sign proposed, a sign shown on the plan as well.
And other options for the posts.
Other options for that sign. We don't want an internally lit sign like that standing out.
So we can have the sign, but it's not internally lit.
I don't know if we can have that sign.
Oh, that's their sign.
No.
Here's a different angle.
This is
Show-
Littleton.
This is Middleton, Rhode Island, and that's what it looks like from
That's
the
not-
side.
So that's
We can
the
add
side.
this- We can add another gable on the side coming from 495 if you had. Or just keep it straight, but that's the shot of the.
Is there any way to lower the front gable and tie it into the mansard roof instead of being
So
able
you
to see
don't like
behind it?
You don't like it going above?
I don't like it going above, and I don't like that it's separate from the mansard itself. See right
Yeah.
there?
Yeah,
You
right.
can see the airspace behind it. I'd almost rather see them meet, to be honest with you.
So I like the middle one better.
No, I like the middle one's is more attractive of sorts, except for
sort
the
of-
roof line to the right.
Yeah. It's the same building, same finishes, just with two different gables, and we put some mullions in the windows.
Could you leave that with us for a little while?
Sure.
I know we're running behind another place, not to give you your due time, but,
Peter will sign for it.
Yeah, no problem.
sign for what, sign?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, put my initials
Let
on
me
it.
see if I have any loose ones.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, in light of the comments that Bruce made regarding the reduction in the impervious material on the site, do you still intend to have the plan reviewed by the outside consultant?
Yes.
Is that something that could be initiated now rather than at the next meeting?
As soon as I get the proposal, I'll run it by you, let you know the amount. If you have any questions, let me
Thank
know,
you.
otherwise we can go.
Yeah, that's usually we do anyways, isn't it? Okay.
So we haven't gotten a number back from when we filed?
I'm sorry?
No, I don't have the cost estimate yet. Green was waiting to find out if the use was going to be allowed before asking them to do a proposal.
He'll forget about it.
I'll leave it with Maren, I'll look at it here and we'll talk about it. and
Mr.
it should
Chair,
be
you want
fine.
to just email those to you? Why doesn't he PDF that to Marilyn, and then you'll have them?
Okay.
Do you have a computer screen?
This is a big computer, this is a big company, they can't afford one little poster? No. All right, where are we now?
Okay,
Done.
so continue till
Continue to-
Thursday, April 20th.
That's good for you all? It's good for us? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to come home for it.
Why?
Because he wants to go back to school.
So we're emailing them.
Yeah, you know, you can keep it.
I just say leave it here and be done with it. All right, now, where are we now? How far are we behind? Here it is.
Almost an hour.
Okay.
Senior housing accessory marijuana. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, it's supposed supposed to be over by 8, so that's okay.
No, they only have,
Well, I mean, really, in retrospect, it's
Live with that, I'm happy with the rather than Russia.
kind of pushed that aside.
Oh, this is a long one.
All
Ready?
right. Yeah, go ahead. After she reads.
Public hearing, zoning bylaw amendments. The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold public hearings on Thursday, April 6, 2017, starting at 7:15 in room 103 of the Shattuck Street Town Hall, 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton, Mass., to consider zoning amendments according to MGL Chapter 48, Section 5. There are 3 proposed zoning bylaw amendments. 1, senior residential community zoning bylaw proposal to replace the current over 55 housing development bylaw to allow for a variety of housing types, settings, and residential services to meet the needs of people as they age. A senior residential community development could be allowed only by special permit from the planning board and would include age-targeted design for detached single-family dwellings, two-family dwellings, townhouse dwellings, independent living units, assisted living residents, and/or continuing care retirement community. 2, accessory apartment zoning bylaw proposal to replace the current accessory dwelling bylaw to allow by right an interior accessory apartment in a lawfully existing detached single-family dwelling and an interior unit that exceeds the size or in a detached structure by special permit from the planning board. Design standards include maintaining the appearance of a single-family dwelling, size limitations, and the requirement of the property owner to reside in one of the units. 3, temporary moratorium on marijuana establishments would temporarily prohibit the cultivation, processing, and sale of recreational marijuana as a use under the zoning bylaw so as to allow the town sufficient time to engage in a comprehensive planning process to consider amending the zoning bylaw to regulate such establishments, which were recently approved by voters in the November 8th, 2016 state election. This temporary moratorium would not affect medical marijuana facilities and would extend through August 31st, 2018. The full text of the proposed bylaws are on file at the town clerk and planning board offices and can be viewed during their office hours or online. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed zoning amendments should appear at the time and place designated or provide written comments by April 6, 2017. The town of Littleton does not discriminate on the basis of disability. Further, a signed translation of this hearing will be provided for the hearing impaired upon request by contacting the planning board office 1 week prior to the meeting date.
Thank you.
And there are copies of each of the bylaws in the back.
Is anyone here for this in particular, or for the master planning? Is there anything that someone would like to have ahead of something different? How many we got? Everyone's here for the same reason?
Master plan.
We have more master plan than,
so most everybody's here for the master plan there. They're okay with what we've got.
we just checked with, would our consultant mind if we flip-flop the agenda items? For-
No, sorry, do whatever is the pleasure of the board.
So you could suspend this public hearing and while we have the public hearing on the master plan.
Motion to suspend the hearing.
How about if we suspend them all?
Do you envision this taking any time at all?
Well, if nobody's really
This
here.
This is for us to simply approve to go to town meeting, right?
Right.
Okay, but nothing more than requires a vote, unless there's discussion. Do you-
Well, so in the reading, so if we're not going to suspend it, we're going to debate this. In the reading, it said that the special permit was, the granting authority was going to be planning board. I thought we made the decision to make it the ZBA.
Well, which one? Oh, for the
accessory apartment, yeah.
That's correct. That's in the description that I had to publish before.
Gotcha. So I just
Right.
want to make sure that for the record, it's the ZBA that'll be
Yeah.
the granting authority.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's in the current draft, you're right.
So let's start with the master plan then. That way everyone can
But
go.
again, if there's no other discussion other than that
This
one.
is just to go through to town.
Yeah, this is just for us to endorse it to go to town meeting,
Yeah.
for vote.
Well, it's a public hearing.
All right, well, does anybody have anything to say about this from the public?
Which one are you talking about?
The one we're talking right now as far as the,
Did we confuse you guys yet?
Senior housing?
Take one at a time?
all right,
Senior housing.
all right,
Start with that one.
all right, senior housing. Any questions, any debates, any wishes to change any of it? Anybody here? Anybody here?
No.
Like it. Number 2 is, what was the other one?
Accessory dwellings.
Accessory apartments. Any questions with that?
I'm hoping for some feedback from the audience on this one, because I really want to see it go through, so if there's anything that people are opposed to in it, please speak up so that we can try to get this improved.
What's the next step of that?
It goes to town meeting for a vote.
Okay, when? May 1st.
May 1st.
Get your friends.
Yes.
Okay?
It's a very important one, folks. I hope we can get lots of support behind this one. I know a lot of the rumors going around town are, we're gonna create every dwelling in Littleton to become a two-family house. I can promise you, there will be no rush to create two-family housing in Littleton. So, I want to be on record. This is important to our seniors, more so than the senior residential development bylaw.
No, I beg to differ, I think that one's.
Well, let's get through
Let's get
this first.
Let's get
Okay,
it
so
done.
there's, all right, so we have no problems with that one, we endorse that. And the last,
Medical marijuana,
and
No, not medical.
I mean,
marijuana facility temporary moratorium, which again, it goes to town meeting to have a vote for the town to decide whether or not. So I approve that also myself to put it before the town. Any other questions? Everybody agree?
My only comment is, give the people what they voted for. I don't support the moratorium, but
Well, this gives the Littleton people a chance to vote for what they want, regardless of what the rest of the state wants.
gives the
we live
Littleton
in this
people,
state. We live in this state.
It feels like Mother Russia, too.
gives Littleton people the chance to wait
can't
until the
go
state
far.
gets their act together before we have something rammed down.
Because it's
our
too
throat.
cold.
Not like I said.
All right, so
Give people what they
would we like to make a motion to carry all 3?
I'll make a motion that we approve all 3 to bring to town meeting floor.
I have a different vote on one of the 3 items, so vote them individually.
All right, first one.
I
Senior
make a
residential
motion.
development.
Motion to approve, as written.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Accessory apartments,
Motion to approve, as written.
all those in favor? Second.
Aye. Second, aye.
Aye. Marijuana facilities, temporary moratorium.
So, second.
Those you got no first.
Yeah, I'll make a motion,
I'm good.
right?
Yep.
All right, I'll make a motion for, to bring Article 18 towards, town meeting.
I'm good.
Second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
There you go.
Okay,
For the
and,
record.
For the
and,
record.
okay, are you recommending that town meeting approve these?
Yes.
Is that the vote? Okay, thank you.
Less of Eddie.
So we need
Yep.
a motion to close the public
need-
hearing?
Correct?
Yep.
Do I hear a
Motion
motion?
we close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing for those 3 warrant articles.
Second. All those in favor?
I didn't say 3.
They got a motion, 2 double motion, that's like a second.
All right.
That works.
Yeah, well,
All right, now we're on to the master plan.
okay.
That works, right, Judy?
So we got everything covered? And we're almost back on time, right?
Public hearing, Littleton Master Plan. The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 6, 2017 at 8 p.m. in room 103 of Town Hall, 37 Shattuck Street to consider adopting the Littleton Master Plan pursuant to MGL Chapter 41, Sections 81D. The draft master plan is available on our website and in the planning department. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed master plan should appear at the time and place designated or provide comment to Marin at m2hill@littletonma.org or P.O. Box 1305 Littleton, Mass. 01460 by April 5th, 2017. The Town of Littleton does not discriminate on the basis of disability. Further, a signed translation of this hearing will be provided for the hearing impaired upon request by contacting the Planning Board office 1 week prior to the meeting date.
Thank you. We good? You're up?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Board, thanks for having us here this evening. Also with me this evening are other members of the Master Plan Update Steering Committee in the audience, and also two of our associates from RKG Associates, Judy Barrett, who's been the lead on this for the company and working with us, and Eric Calvison in the back there, to answer any questions we may have. Tonight what I want to do is kick off the public meeting for you here, or the comment period, which we've already had about 4 weeks now of public comments on the master plan draft itself, and then recommendations that had come forward even prior to that. So that's been, as Jamie just mentioned, these things have been made apparent to Marin through both email and then anything physical, people that aren't working with computers. We had the drafts and paper also. So next, please.
Do I have the right one? It says February 22nd.
Well, let's see the next slide.
Okay, sorry.
No, no, no.
I do not. I'm
It
sorry.
need to be the 6th April one.
Yep.
Do you have that?
So, sorry about that.
No, it's-
That one looks good. Okay. Does that look better?
6 April, here we are today. Thank you. Purpose, it's a public hearing for Master Plan 2030 for the town of Littleton. It's not really a hodgepodge of photos. Actually, I went out and picked them up deliberately. You see a little bit of the past when you look at the upper right. Quintessential winter here in Littleton on King Street. Danny Pickett's farm on the left there, balloons landing there one day. The picture down in the center there, at the center of town with the rotary clock in the center of the common there. Little Historic Society, youth activities, and then certainly the planning process itself. And just it was a random sampling of slides that shows pick up and just kind of get us kicked off as we talk about this. Next, please. Goal. What do we want our town to be? As we've worked through this for the last 2 years, it's become pretty apparent to those of us on the Master Plan Update Steering Committee is that people are looking for a prospering community for sure, but one that retains the character and feel of what we feel is College Community Village. So we think we've captured that. In fact, we feel fairly confident that we've been able to capture that feeling. Certainly it's going to be on the margins. We'll have missed something. That's right up front. This plan is a very good plan, we believe, and certainly because it is a living plan, we anticipate as we move forward through the life of this plan that there'll be opportunities for improvements as situations change and then certainly as new information becomes available to us. Next, please. 2 years ago, almost to the day, this was a slide I threw up at town meeting on the May 4th. Why are we doing this? 81D, as mentioned earlier, the master plan that the planning board's established in any city or town under this section of Mass General Law will have a master plan. It was a top goal for the Board of Selectmen back then. The old one was 2002, certainly ripe for refurbishing. And then both you and the Board of Selectmen, we were on the 11th of September of almost 3 years ago now, constituted Master Plan Update Steering Committee. Those are the folks that are here this evening. A couple of town meetings. One voted at $113,000 first use. The second one $100,000. $213,000. Initial estimate was going to be $250,000. So we came in for appropriations $37K, and we go through this a little bit later. You're going to see we came even better than that. Told you to anticipate a 2-year process, and it's going to be 2 years, town meeting to town meeting on May 1st when we get together. And that's what we're going to be doing is presenting it in 3 to 4 weeks now. Next, please. Okay, so as I said, 2 years in the making. Our first organizational meeting was back in April, 2 years ago. And the ensuing 2 years, we've worked closely with many, many different folks. Certainly, you folks, the municipal planning contractor, RKG Associates mentioned earlier. Other towns are in various stages of their own planning process, that have just completed, just beginning, or somewhere in between, or even some that are maybe a couple, 3 years into their new plan, and some of the challenges and opportunities they work with. Various state agencies, certain educational institutions, town leaders and staff, and we have to add, most significantly, the folks in the town of Littleton. We feel we had a very robust public outreach. Town-wide forums 3 times, one-on-one interviews. We're at the country fair, the charrettes, I mentioned one a little bit earlier. Third Thursdays, 50-plus public meetings. Mailings, Littleton Light and Water, which I don't have up here, but they were very instrumental in helping us get information out in the monthly bills to folks. So that and many other venues, we're able to reach out to folks. Next, please. So how's the plan organized? 10 chapters, both required by statute, and what was important to Littleton. And what we were able to do, as I went through Section 81D, to make sure we had captured everything, we looked at this, and we look at certainly transportation, housing, natural resources, land use, on and on. As you can see, the 10 chapters that are up there. Each one of those, from 2 through 8, hits what's in the Mass General legislation and the statute of 81D. And then certainly we have an introduction into it, kick off, give some background, how we went about the process to bring all this to fruition. And then number 10, implementation. That's absolutely essential, and you'll see me hop on that a little bit more as we go through this. Next, please. Strategy. There are 8 strategy areas throughout the plan. So as we look at it, the common, and I think that's probably patently obvious to all folks here in town, building local capacity, what does that mean? The ability that we can have, as we build forward, understanding that we are going to build in the town. We're not going to have a moratorium on any kind of building. You know, just before me, you were at a couple of folks in front of you talking about other projects here going in town. And how do we go through that? How do we help the town thrive? The plan growth, what are we going to do? What does the plan do to help us take that planning? Equitable development so that it's not all one-sided or it's one sort of development, that we spread it out so that we meet the goal that I had mentioned earlier. Ensuring the community health and well-being. So how do we as the people who live in town come to enjoy all of this? Active government is going to take government involvement. It's going to take you folks, Board of Selectmen, other various boards and commissions to bring this about. And finally, a lasting legacy that we all can be proud of in that the plan works so it is that legacy as we move forward. So when people are in 2030 or so standing in front of the present board at that time, they'll be able to say, we're able to build upon it and hopefully not have to demolish it. So, next please. Okay. The plan office, it should say 66, so I apologize that it says 63 up there. But yeah, this is the different one, so I'll have to speak a little bit to it. 66 recommendations based on aggregate inputs that were received over the course of the update process. There are 3 categories that we put them in, and they're not organized 1 through N. They are high, medium, and low priority. And we'll place them in time bands for being able to achieve them. 1 to 3 years, you see, 4 to 6, and 7 to 10. Significantly, throughout the plan, we do talk about implementation. Now, what we have up there where it says 2 melded, where it has 2 melded priorities, we actually came up with 3, and I think to be able to speak to you on those as soon as I find the letter. I apologize for that, folks. But the committee met many times, and as we looked at the 66 recommendations and the plan itself, we're going through the entire process. You know, what is it that struck us and came out, really hard and heavy? That we as a committee would take everything that we've learned in this process, to include people's inputs, various data points that we have associated with it, conversations both at Donlands, in the community, inside our social circles. So everything that we were taking into this, in addition to everything else. And what we did is we're offering as a recommendation 3 priorities. It's not 1, 2, 3, it's 3 priorities. The first one is complete a comprehensive zoning update. I think you folks are already actually in some bit of a process doing that now. Commit to a common revitalization. Certainly the common, one of the shreds was completely devoted to the common. It's very important to us here in town. And then improve intermodal transportation connectivity. And we talked a lot about that, but if you think about it for a second, that intermodal transportation of sorts, we have pedestrians, bicyclists, automobiles, railroad, bus, very much on the fringe, an area for improvement. I don't think an airport's in our immediate future. But those are the 3 priorities that we're going to offer to you. And then, I'll be speaking to the town leaders and you, us, all of us. It's going to be incumbent upon us to use this plan as a reference point at the very least. Even if it's only a point of departure, at least it's the same point of departure for all of us. Next, please. To reiterate the goal I talked about earlier, this is what we feel that the plan is going to do for us. If indeed we implement it earnestly, honestly, and with the spirit it's intended. Pages. Next, please. All right, a collage of sorts. Okay? You could say it's almost like chaos, but it's not chaos if you think about it for a moment. Big business, small business, farming, structures in town, schools, people, old, new, transportation, idyllic picture of Long Lake. What it all comes and you see it all really does blend together in some way, shape, or form. They're not drawn sharp edges, they overlap each other, they intertwine with each other. So while those challenges, there also are opportunities as we move forward with this. Next, please. So with that, open up for questions.
You're up.
Any questions?
Ed?
To the Master Plan Steering Committee, thank you to everybody that's done all this hard work, to the consultants. I think it's a great document for this town, as you call it, a jumping off point. hopefully it's a little more than that. Hopefully people can actually follow a lot of what's suggested in there, and it's a good guide for this town to have in its possession. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of input from a lot of citizens, so I'm grateful for the time that you and everybody else has put into it, so thank you.
Thank you.
I think it was a pretty great process getting town folk together. Coming from the farming background and seeing that we don't have much left, especially with all the developments taking place in front of us right now, it's pretty great for us as farmers to see that the town is so supportive and it's a top priority and amongst all the conversation. But all in all, I guess I'd like to also shout out what Ed said. It's really great, and thanks for all the hard work.
I think you and Judy did a phenomenal job of steering everybody and getting people involved and rallying around it. It's good that we have new faces and new people looking at it, and hopefully with the implementation that it's not just going to sit on the shelf and we're actually going to use it.
Everyone's motivated to make this happen. Folks, both at this stage of very
Oh, and Maren too, by the way. Maren was instrumental in keeping us on a course and everything else like that, and coordinating with everyone. Yeah, I don't think you'd be sitting here finished with it if it wasn't for some of the work that at least the three of us do, at the very least.
We have the lash marks on our backs.
Very impressive. And again, from Anna, the very shortest lived person in town on the facility, to you and I are probably the longest, right? How long have you been in town?
2 years.
So, I mean, we had a pretty wide range of locals and newbies, and it was very nice, very good. Is there any questions or any statements like to be made from people in the audience? No? Go ahead.
Sure. Don McIver, 43 Foster Street. Yeah, I'm very supportive of the master plan. In fact, it was here I argued for its funding initially. It was pretty lonely, so I was glad it went through. The consultant I thought was good. Glad to see a lot of new people on board. The meetings I was able to make, they're festive and so on. But looking at the end results, I still have some questions, and there's some strong disconnects. And yeah, I'm all in favor of having a good master plan that goes for 15 years and helps guide us. But when I look through it, I am somewhat concerned that it looks like of the recommendations, which I'll comment on directly, which is sort of the outcomes of it, it seems like either people putting together a report weren't aware of stuff, or there are disconnects. And what I'm suggesting, I'm just getting to the end point here, and something has come up from one of the other commissions that I listen to, is that it needs a little more review time. It has some flaws in it, has some disconnects, and needs to be worked out. And from what I was aware, there was about a 2-week period, maybe it's longer. But people get stressed out of work and doing other things. And from the people I talked to about some of the outcomes, they're sort of surprised, including some people that attended all the sessions. In fact, someone else described it as it looked like of those recommendations, someone pulled them from some boilerplate of things that typically work in this type of work. And there are some disconnects. In fact, it was suggested by one of the commissions I attended last night that maybe the good thing is the next step to refine it and to remove some of that and better focus it is of the people, the stakeholders affected, that they look at in their committees and review some of this. In some cases, it covers more than one group. Yeah, and you would hope to have groups working together. So having gone through it some of it quicker than other parts, this 200-page document, 66 recommendations. I've focused, at least from my comments, towards the last 3 pages where the 66 recommendations are. So, yeah, I feel it's constructive. I'm not saying we're doing just something bad. In fact, there's a lot of good stuff that happened with it. The good bonding and all that, and good engagement. But let me just focus on some of the concerns, which in some cases are indicators that the disconnects. And
Well, I don't really want to cut you off short here, but you have all that in writing someplace?
I have some in writing, but I want to testify. This is
I
a public.
understand that, and I know it's a public meeting. You also, just to clarify a few things, these meetings have been on for, am I 2 years, is that right? 2 years. And you said somebody had been to all the meetings, one of these people that you had spoke to, all the meetings.
Is this a public hearing or not?
It's a public hearing, but your statements aren't even close to being reality. Because there were times when the only people at the meetings were just the people on the boards. And you come here at the 19th hour, or the 23rd, or the 11th hour, however it's termed, and now you're throwing stones? Where were you at all the previous meetings?
You haven't even heard the comments.
I don't care what the comments are. Why
I
weren't
know,
you
that
going to make them at the
concerns me.
time? Well, I appreciate your input, I do. But I don't understand why you're coming at the end to throw rocks at us.
I'm
Why
not
weren't you
throwing
here at the beginning, being a part of the solution?
And I was.
And either you're part of the solution or you're part of the problem. Which are you?
This is a public hearing to look
I
at the
understand
master
that.
plan.
So please make it brief. Finish
This is a
up.
public hearing, and I will testify.
This-
I wish you weren't so hostile.
This is not
Hostile,
testify.
dog style,
If you have a comment about the process and what happened, would you please share it with us? This is not testifying. Let's just hear what you have to say.
I'm addressing the recommendations in the back. That's why I said I was hoping that they could be refined. I'm glad that you're looking for more money, you're not out of money, because usually what happens, someone's at end the contract, they're out of money, and it's, their schedule's up, but if there are problems with us, that's a concern.
Okay, address your 3 pages worth, please.
Okay, so, one of the comments was Littleton Common use CPA funds to support redevelopment and use of historic properties around the common. Good idea, but it's sort of limited where you can use the CPA funds. It has to be a public benefit. And no one objects to doing historic protection, except for the few cases when churches have come up and people have looked to the public benefit. It might be more helpful to identify resources that the Historic Commission could tap into where people could fix up their own houses. And that often isn't accommodated by the CPA, which has to be a public benefit. So identifying funding sources might be the more constructive approach here. So
That's
another
a
one,
good point.
excuse me?
That's a good point, thank you.
Conduct a corridor, item 10, conduct a corridor study for Great Road to plan for future land uses, open space and natural resource preservation, transportation improvements, and modify zoning to implement the plan. There's been a lot of facilitated public meetings before this. There have been workshops.
And what was the outcome of those meetings?
They had results and certain people didn't like the results, so they kept on bringing it up and keep on wanting to do zoning. The public has overwhelmingly supported what's there in the farming, and there've been some town meeting
How do we go
votes
from
to change
transportation to
it.
farming?
May I speak to that? I see where you're coming from on that, and we did try to have the conversation, but nobody wants to have the conversation about what they're gonna be doing with their land. I'm not gonna go and have a conversation with you about what your 5-year plan is, just because a landowner owns 100 acres versus your 1, doesn't mean we should be treated differently. Nobody in the town has a right to tap into what our plan is with our open space. So if you want the farms to stay, then go out and support them. That's the only way, and so the master plan folks came in, had a conversation with the planning board, had a list of all the chapter 61A landowners. The AgCom said, don't even bother having a conversation with them. So the ag community and the folks that own all those properties that you're talking about, the conversation was tried to be had, and they wanted to be left alone. So I think that is something that, there's plenty of conversation that took place. You weren't at the meetings, but I'd like to put that to bed. I'm sick and tired as a landowner being questioned what I'm gonna do with my land. You don't want me to go away? Come and shop at my farm stand.
Okay, I wasn't necessarily addressing that, but
It
what I'm
is.
saying, there's been a whole lot of discussion, as you're saying as well. And in fact, there was a special study group, but there are also town meeting votes about.
Okay, go
rezoning.
back to your pages.
And-
Let's address what's on
This is
that.
the comment, this is on the page, and that was voted down. So I think the community has spoken in a rather strong sense.
Can you hold this hostage like this?
So, I mean, you say a study, I mean, it's probably one of the places that's been more reviewed than any other in town.
Okay.
So anyway, that's the point there. Planned growth allowed greater density and recognized activity areas near the train station, around the common and older industrial commercial areas where redevelopment opportunities exist. This is allowed by open space development bylaw, certainly by the train station, by the industrial areas, by Conant Mill, which may need something. That's a completely different situation. In fact, a group of us actually worked with the or talked to the landowners for Durkee Tree Farm, and have also talked to developers about high-density, high-end facilities that could be close to the train station. People would pay a premium amount, and you could protect the rest of it as open space. That was all allowed through the open space development bylaw. As it turned out, the property owner decided not to do that. And there were very good people presenting, such as at the Concord River Walk, where this is shown as a good model. And that was all accommodated by open space development bylaw. But,
All right, so you need us to look
pro-
at that, okay, the next one. You're beating it.
Mid-sentence. The property owner has rights and they chose to go otherwise. So now we have a cookie cutter expansive area, but it could have been done differently. Well, it's spread out, it's not clustered.
Eric,
I believe it is clustered, sir.
what is our next method here to address some of these questions that he has? As far as our,
What's the next part of the implementation process for the master plan?
Let me address that, please. We've had opportunities for public comment for 4 weeks now on the plan itself. The recommendation's even longer. Many people did take an opportunity to write into us. I didn't call up the list if you so chose to see the various different people. We had people sitting in the audience here with us, and we went through their recommendations line by line by line.
I recall.
So those folks who took an opportunity to present to us before this evening had ample opportunity to speak to the Master Plan Update Committee, the entire committee, embarked, and we went through that. And as I said, and had people come to the front of the room and for them to speak to their particular issues. What I'm hearing this evening, I believe, is more a critique that there are certainly areas that we can find in the master plan that a very dedicated professional in a specific area of extreme expertise in that specific area can find a flaw. I will admit that probably on every page we can find an expert that will be able to find that flaw. The thing is, as a plan in total serves the purposes of the town, and certainly the master plan steering committee wouldn't be here in front of you today if we thought we had failed at that. So that we could find someone from all walks of life to go page by page and say, I found a mistake, I found a mistake. It's going to be added a lot. There's personal opinion and things that maybe we picked a bad verb. Maybe we said perform versus have performed. You know, it should have been past tense, should be in continued future tense. We worked very hard actually on the verbs and the tense of the verbs as we went through these recommendations.
Can I say something? Mr. McIver, this master plan is going to be a living document. We have a lot of cases about issues that happened in the past. Why don't you keep everything that you have there and see how it works? If you have a problem with something once it's implemented, then you should speak about it. Let it have a chance. Let's put the seeds in the ground and see what's grown, because that's what it's going to be. But going one after another about stuff that happened in the past is not going to help the master plan now. Everybody's worked hard at it. They're comfortable with where it's a starting point. It's going to evolve. It's going to grow, and it's going to change. That's the time if you have an issue with something. Not on the 12th hour, as Mr. Scott said. Why don't we just see where it goes, rather than go through another half hour, however long, line by line by line of what happened in the past. Let's look to the future and try to work together, which we did for the past couple of years, and see if we can make it work and make Littleton a better place, rather than go backwards.
Well,
thank you. That was very
forward-
eloquent on both your parts. I appreciate your statements. Mr. McIver, could you, just so that you have, I know how you like things on the record, could you send that to Maren so that it's documented? It's in so that later on when something happens, you're not, I told you, you could be Nostradamus for us. How's that?
And what I'm suggesting, I'm all in favor of the master plan. I'm not knocking the master plan.
Would that be all right with you?
What I'm interested in doing is having some committees look at it, review a little bit more, vet it a little bit better before implementation. Make sure it's right.
You have a month before town meeting. You can look at it, you can make your recommendations, you can give them to the different departments that are involved in each, and go from there. We still have, there's still time.
And One of the things that strikes me, I mean, the schedule is obviously to make it for town meeting. What is the urgency for this town meeting versus?
What is your
special?
urgency to come here before now, once again, at the last minute?
It's a
And
public hearing.
I don't care what is a public hearing and what, I don't give a rat's. My question is, why do you come out here now at the end of it all? This is what a woman from Groton said in the very beginning. You work at it and you work at it and you work at it, and something comes out of the woodwork or crawls out from under a rock and starts having this conversation.
Well, some of these
So
conversations.
here's the reason. Why didn't you show up for 2 years? Why now?
And I have participated when I could, and I've made.
When you could. And now you have a big forum now. Is that it? So maybe at town meeting you'll get up and use that other forum
You're
to run your
being
mouth.
extremely hostile to
I am.
public comments, and you
And I'm
haven't heard
enjoying
all
it.
the public comments. Your role is to listen.
I don't think that's my only role.
Yes, it.
And I've heard enough of you. I've heard enough. And please sit down. You can file any grievance you wish, but you should have been here in the beginning.
And
that's the end of it.
I have been
That's
involved with
the
the
end of it.
interview with some folks, and things haven't made it through. And I think there's a disconnect.
Did you
with some
send
of the-
anything to Maren for us to review at the last? Did you send anything?
I sat down for one of the interviews.
Did you
in the
send
beginning.
anything when we had the last conversation where we had the entire board virtually and 4 or 5 people came in, they made their comments and we addressed them? Didn't we go through, there were 58 of them, is that right? And we went through all of them. One person had is that right? Did you have any in there?
What's the matter of fine tuning this so it actually reflects what's going on?
Well, let's just say that 13 people in various stages fine-tuned at this point. Because it doesn't meet your criteria, doesn't mean it hasn't been fine-tuned, okay? Now, when it becomes implementation, then you have the opportunity to maybe put your fingers on it and try and direct it in a direction you would like to have it done. But now, your time is up, okay? Thank
This is
you.
a public hearing.
Do you have anything new to add, other than just keep, do you have anything new to
I'm
add?
addressing some of the recommendations, which are the outcomes.
We've
you
already
have
had these
that
meetings.
You want to implement.
This meeting is actually, to be honest with you, is for us to decide whether to endorse the master plan. Us, not you. Us to endorse the master plan and send it to town meeting. We've been taking input for a month now. Okay, to come, and I can understand Peter's frustration at the 12th hour to come here and start throwing rocks and wanting your interpretation on the master plan goes so far against how the master plan was done. It was done with a group of people, not Don MacGyver. It was everybody.
I've worked on master plans in town and other places.
Get that.
People
Please
do
go
this.
there.
If you want to get your input, give it to us. You can discuss it on town meeting floor when it comes up at town meeting. Everyone will get a chance to take a look at your concerns. But everybody, the time to voice your concerns
It's coming.
is come and gone. It's time for us to vote whether we want to support the master plan or not. Okay, that's what we're here to do tonight. You know, we're not taking any more input. If you want to give it and have the boards look at it and the people that are left and Judy take a look at it, that's fine. They'll make a recommendation to us on town meeting floor, but our meeting tonight is to vote to whether or not to send the master plan to the town meeting.
And is not part of the meeting public testimony like most public.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
They've had public input. They've had public
I
input,
can't take any more of this.
right? You've taken public input for a month now, right? Pretty close?
On the draft plan itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, on the master plan, you gotta have a written document. You gotta sit down and vent out what you do and what you don't want. That's been going on for over a month. Why you?
And the draft recommendations predated that couple of weeks.
Why didn't we do that? Why didn't you do that? Why do you come now when we're ready to vote whether to send it to town meeting floor? That's all we're supposed to be doing here. We're not supposed to be taking input as to how to change it or how to do anything on town meeting floor. We're just voting whether or not to send it there. That's all these 4 people
It's
sitting
just a
up
rubber
here.
stamp. Why is there a meeting?
So we can vote on it.
Oh, no, it's-
Because by law, we have to vote on whether we want to send it there. If you want to go voice it,
do I have a motion?
The planning board vote is to adopt the final master plan. We do have a schedule that allows for public input through today. If there are comments that RKG can address in the next few days, they're happy to do that. But then they're looking to send us the final master plan on April 17th. You have a meeting on April 20th. At that point, you can vote to adopt the master plan when you have seen how they have addressed all the comments that have come in. You'll have the final in front of you.
So your note not only going to Maren, can you could also forward one to RKG and
It funnels through Maren.
to Maren?
That way it's controlled, you know, what's been received.
So that your words will be heard.
Right. Because there have been a lot of comments to date that have been addressed. And
There's over 300 comments that Eric has gone through and tried to address.
Yeah, we have a comment resolution sheet that is very extensive, where a person's name, page, paragraph, the issue, the rationale, recommendation, disposition, and then presented to the committee for us to vote up or down as to accept or not.
Right.
That's still,
Right, and
have you addressed that?
I understand it's complex, but you also ended your input with it on the 24th.
That's a misnomer. We had set 24th as a suspense for that, because we have to get the inputs in so we could deal with it. We are on contract with a company that's helping us produce this product.
Right.
But also, at every single public meeting, I have said quite clearly, we will take them forever. Never once did I say, stop at 24.
I look online, I say.
Please don't misspeak for things that I've spoken.
Sure.
Thank you.
I've looked at what's online.
I have a couple more slides if you wish.
I would love to see those. Is that all right with you, Dawn? Can we continue our meeting?
Can you get us that in writing and then we can address it at the
It's
next meeting?
in writing, but
Great.
I'd also like to say, I think people should be able to hear it too. That
Dawn,
is part of the
seriously,
public hearing.
just sit down, please. Enough. For the record, everybody, I am so glad I beat you in the election.
Slide 8.
Please sit down.
Back to slide 8.
No, that was.
Thank you, Dawn.
So you're denying the rest of the public testimony?
It's not testimony. If you have an opinion,
It
give it
is.
to Marin. We'll look at it.
This is
and then-
testimony.
It's not testimony. This isn't court.
I'm only limiting the time with that you have stolen from us.
That what?
You've stolen my life for whatever length of time you've been talking. It's gone. I'm never getting it back. And that's how I feel about your statements tonight. You stole my life tonight. Could you please continue with your meeting, please?
This is the slide I wanted to show you, so I apologize for the previous one being out of date. But the 6 recommendations had, and then at the bottom, the consensus top 3 melded priorities. So that way you can see them in print, not just have to listen to me say it. And then if you will go to the finance slide, please. At the beginning of this, I showed you the slide, it was $213,000 through 2 town meetings that have been appropriated. I want to give you an accounting as to how we've done on that. What we have now is RKG has billed us to this point $131,000. You see the second line from the bottom, third line from the bottom, to be billed for services performed between this last few weeks or so, and then taking us through the end of the program, another $23,000. The total out of the 213 is we will have spent $189,000, so that would be returning about $24,600 back to the town.
Great.
To be used. So we're certainly pretty proud of that. As the town entrusted us with money, we think we've been able to produce a product that is usable, that we are proud of for sure, and then also at a bargain. So, that's all. Judy?
Thank you. Judy, we have,
Any comments from us? Is that what you're asking?
please?
Other than the fact that we have deeply enjoyed working with one of the nicest and most thoughtful master plan committees I've ever worked with. I really owe,
Thank you for your...
I'm being very serious. I'm not just telling you this to make you feel good, but you should feel good. You did a nice job with this process, and I think that we probably got more direction from your community than you often get in a process like this. So, and that direction, sometimes really required some deliberation on the part of the committee. Not everybody agreed. It was not groupthink, which is nice. But we just deeply enjoyed working with you, and we certainly wish you well in implementing this plan. I think one of the real strong points on a going forward basis here is having an implementation committee in place and recognizing that a plan doesn't end with a book. It's a process. And so when this phase of the process concludes, a new phase begins. And that's the beauty of having an annual evaluation process where you really can amend the plan if you need to. It's a living document. It won't live if you don't let it.
And
Thank
and when
you.
we come before you again on the 20th, we'll have some recommendations in that regard. And then after the 20th, we are looking at either the 26th or 27th of April in this room is a question and answer period, so that we can address those questions that folks may have prior to town meeting, given that town meeting time on the floor will be limited.
So we're gonna have another brief discussion on the 20th.
The 20th, what I would anticipate is we'll bring the plan to you, put it on your desk, and say, we're ready for you to approve it. Because we will vote it on ourselves as the committee and say, this is the plan we want to present to you.
And in that time, we'll be able to take any other comments from the general public.
Well,
We will continue to take
Within reason, we'll take them in, but again,
Continue the hearing.
pardon?
If you continue this hearing to the, to 2 weeks or tonight.
I would recommend that you set a deadline for the comments on the draft master plan, understanding that comments after that date, which should probably be tomorrow, would be considered by the implementation committee. Because, you know, revisions will happen every 6 months to a year.
That's really critical, because if you're asking us to get the published
Right,
final piece done,
though Paul has said he is, you know, he's never said in, by, and nothing afterwards.
Right. And
I'm
every
saying-
time we've gotten a request for an extension, or could I have the weekend or whatever, I've always said, yes, please get them to me.
All right,
So
good.
if Don submits his comments,
We can
then we
discuss-
can review them before our next meeting, so that we
And
have
again,
them in front of us.
is there anybody from the master plan committee that would like to make a statement about any of the processes that we've gone through for or against? Mike,
Mike Selden, Luann Street. There have been innumerable meetings, many opportunities for folks to show up and give their views. I do know that many of us have gone out on our own, representing the committee, to talk to residents who did not have the opportunity, either where they live or their schedule, to attend the meetings. I interviewed probably over 200 people who did not show up at the regular meetings that lived in my neighborhood and beyond, and I think at least one or two others on the committee did. We shared those notes and the results of that review. And as far as I can make out, as a committee member, all the recommendations that appear in the draft plan reflect very accurately the sentiment of the town, the people who attended the forums, and the people who attended the stakeholder visit meetings, as well as other sessions that were held with many groups, including standing committees that were active in town at the time. So I just want to be on record and make it clear there were numerous opportunities to collect information. The information was heard. This does not automatically mean that a plan is perfect. And this is a plan, an intentional plan, rather than implementation. I think there's some confusion on the part of some folks about the difference between the two.
Thank you.
I think it ought to be clear that's why an implementation committee has been, an implementation effort has been recommended, because this is the first step in making the town an even greater place in which to live.
thank you, very nice. I appreciate your statements. How's that?
You done?
I'm all set.
I'm good.
Ask for a motion?
We're going to continue the hearing.
Continue the hearing till the 20th?
Motion to continue the 20th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Did I hear, are we all set? We can adjourn the meetings?
Yep.
Motion?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Yes, absolutely.